Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
And a good morning to you. It is time for Coffee Ann here on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us Thursday morning, February 15th. I'm Joe Callahan, and around the Coffee Ann table, let's say good morning to Attorney Bob Lauder. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Good to be here, have you here with us. And Sue Tessie McKenzie from the Black Stone Valley Call-in-Times.
Good morning.
How are things with you, Sue?
Wonderful.
And joining us already, I wasn't expecting him this early, but it's nice. Woonsocket Mayor Chris Beauchamp is here.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning to you
Thanks for
there,
having me.
Mayor. So, but before we jump into things that are going on with the mayor, Bob says he's got questions about the Super Bowl.
I sure do.
All right, shoot.
From your,
Kansas City won
I realize that.
Oh, okay.
And I actually watched the game,
the whole. Wow,
the
good
whole
for
thing.
you.
Well, it's a tradition. My daughter and I watch the Super Bowl. It's the only football game I watch in the entire year.
All right.
And we drink beer. My daughter's
Yeah.
non-alcoholic, and mine is Guinness.
All right.
But we sit through the whole thing. Okay. Question is, do you recall any other Super Bowl game where the winning score was done within the last minute of play?
Yes,
Yes.
Really?
100%.
quite a few.
A lot of games.
Really?
Patriots
Yep.
won in overtime in the last play.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I was stunned.
Like the last four or so have been decided on the last play.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I remember the Patriots one very specifically
Yeah.
because, I mean, people were.
But this was
My daughter, her husband left the house thinking they were going to, and they
lose?
won.
Oh.
A lot of people did that.
well.
yes.
This, if I understood the new rules were that if you went into overtime, you had to do an entire quarter.
No,
You had to do two. One each team had to
each
have
team had to get the ball.
at the ball.
Yeah.
And then the one who had scored the highest amount was successful. But this was in the last minute of that quarter.
Yeah, but it wasn't timed. See, the first in overtime, San Francisco got the ball first.
Right.
They went downfield and kicked a field goal.
Okay.
Okay, now Kansas City gets the ball.
Right.
They can either kick a field goal and tie it up and they keep playing.
Right.
Or Kansas City gets a touchdown and they win the game. That's it. It doesn't matter what the time is.
Okay. Suppose the 15 minutes for the quarter had expired.
And it was tied?
If the 15 minutes of the quarter had expired, then San Francisco would have won if the Kansas City hadn't scored anything, right?
Yes.
Okay. But they scored within the last 60 seconds.
Right.
Okay. All right. I didn't think it
But
ever
they
been
scored a
game
touchdown. If they
Right.
only kicked a field goal, it would have been tied.
Right.
That if the quarter ended, they would have kept playing.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. I think I got that
You all
sort of
straightened out now?
squared away. But I have an issue to bring up with Sue now, too.
All right.
Because the Woonsocket call, I am really, I think this may be also almost deceptive headlines.
Uh-oh.
This was in the Woonsocket call on Friday.
Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times.
Blackstone Valley Call Time, sorry. And the headline says, "Legal motion, plenty to watch before the snap." I'm halfway through this article before I realize it has nothing to do with the judiciary. It's all about football.
Football.
Whoa, come on.
You duped them.
You're right. We got his attention with the headline, but see,
Yeah.
it worked. We got your attention with the headline.
Well, I guess that is true. Yeah.
I've seen some killer
Okay.
headlines in some of
Okay.
the writers.
All right. I'll sit in the corner now and be quiet. Hear what the mayor has to say.
There's a good one in today's Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times. Providence weathers the storm. It's in the sports page. So
Okay.
it's Providence College, and it's two things because they played St. John's, who are the Red Storm, and they played Tuesday night when the storm was finishing. So
Whoa, that is
pretty-
a good
pretty clever.
headline.
They
Right?
weathered
That
two
is
storms.
clever.
They weathered two storms that night. So
Wow.
Providence College. So someone's thinking over there at the paper,
Yeah.
Sue.
And I think I know who it is. Can I just see yours, Bob, since
Sure,
it's right
you can
there?
keep it. Yeah.
I think I know exactly who it is.
So you can tell by looking at the headline?
No, not
No?
who I thought it was.
Oh, all right.
Can I see yours now? And I want to see if it's the same person.
All right. There you go. I know you can tell by looking at the headline. I guess
Yeah,
it's an inside
The
thing.
writer's name.
They write the headlines?
Yeah, this one is who I thought it was, Brendan.
Oh, so I didn't think the writers of the article write the headline.
For the most part, yeah.
They do? Oh, okay. All right. Well, Brendan's a smart guy.
Because you wrote the story, so you're going to make it work.
Well, that's right. It would make sense.
One of my favorite headlines from the old Woonsocket Call goes back many, many years to when Mayor Baldelli was talking about some of the sewage plants, and the headline said, "Mayor seeks more sludge."
Well, write that down, Chris. You can use that.
We got enough sludge.
All right. Well, we've been laughing, but we'll start off with the sad news. The shooting in Kansas City
Yes.
yesterday is just incredible. One person is dead. Local disc jockey at a local radio station out there.
Yep.
Wow.
A woman.
Was killed. A woman. Others were up to 22 injured. A lot of them are kids, and some are still on with life-threatening injuries. They've detained 3 people. They've recovered 1 gun or a rifle. I'm not sure, but they did say 1 weapon, and so they're still trying to figure out why and like that. So and there's no answers just yet, and
No.
it makes you wonder. Will these things keep going on? Will this be the last parade celebration of a winning sports team in a city? There were 800 cops there. You would think this would have been a safe event.
And they believed to have almost 1 million people at the rally.
Right, and there's no security per se. Like, yes, they have all police officers there and whatnot, but there's no. You have to walk through this. You have to,
No,
I mean,
because it's
if you
a
take any,
parade.
It's a
right?
thoroughfare. It's the main-
Exactly. Any event is like that. You go to Autumn Fest. Yeah, there's a lot of people around, but when you're walking in, nobody stops you to.
Oh, right.
You don't walk through what do you call that thing?
Metal detectors.
Metal detector. That's it. So I mean, it's a sad, unfortunate, very unfortunate that people can't even do the simple pleasures in life.
Which makes you think, is it gonna end?
Right.
We can't guarantee your safety anymore at these events.
Nope.
So we're gonna stop having these big rallies for when like 1 million people are gonna show up.
Yeah.
Spread out throughout the entire city. So I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know what the answer is. There is no
There is
easy answer.
well, there is no answer
Nope.
to this. So I don't know. I don't know what you do. And did you see the mayor of Kansas City on the news
I did.
when he was
Yeah.
talking about it? It's like, well, like there's a position you don't want to be in, Chris.
It's very unfortunate, very sad. You go there with your family and your kids to, cheer on your local team, and
Yeah,
you think
it's a happy occasion.
you're going to be there with family and friends and enjoying it, and craziness starts. So it's very unfortunate, and you can't prevent it. Unfortunately, no matter what you do, there's people that are out there that want to create havoc and craziness and who knows what. But it's very unfortunate.
All right, so we'll hear more about that and the suspects and things like that as the time goes on, and hopefully all the people that were injured pull through, and we move on from there. I wanted to ask Bob this question because it's put your lawyer hat on, Bob. So
Whoa, is that
and I know
the
it's-
aluminum foil hat?
Yeah, and I know it's criminal law, but sorry.
Okay.
So and another sad story. We have the 1-year-old in Pawtucket.
Yes, I thought of that.
That was unresponsive, brought to Hasbro and pronounced dead. They arrested the boy's father, but then they went and they charged him with 1 count of manslaughter, and then with child endangerment, 3 counts of second-degree child abuse. But they also arrested the 3 other adults in the apartment, and they were charged with. They were also charged with child endangerment. Is that just par for the course? Is that just what you do? What the police do when something like this happens? All adults in the domicile get arrested if a child dies?
I would think that part of it depended on the statements that the police were collecting at the time they investigated. They probably, and I don't know the facts of this particular case, but they probably determined that the other 3 individuals had an opportunity to protect the child and failed to do so. I don't know the circumstances of how the child died, but
They haven't said yet.
Okay, using another kind of case, and not referring to this one in particular, a shaken baby syndrome, where an adult grabs a child and shakes it so vigorously that it causes serious injury to the child. If there's other adults in the area and they see this is taking place, they have an obligation to prevent it from continuing and prevent the child from being damaged and hurt. And if those individuals just sit around and say, we're not going to do anything and take no action, then I think that the police are justified in bringing charges against them, yeah.
And will the charges stick?
I would think that they would, yes. I think that it's a serious crime. You see somebody abusing a child, and you are aware of the dangers involved in this, and you don't protect the child, yes, I think you have some liability. And
There's
you could be...
nothing's come up yet as to how. I mean,
No, I'm not talking to this
no.
particular
I
case.
understand that. That's why I'm.
Right.
But that brought up my question because of that case. They're not saying whether it was shaken.
No, just unresponsive, bruises on his face,
Okay,
and brought to the hospital and
Okay.
then pronounced dead.
I didn't
So
hear
that's
about
it.
the
So
bruises.
that's it so far.
Okay.
So,
Well, then it will come out whether broken bones, etc.
and he, the person arrested for the manslaughter, is the boy's father.
And it
That's-
didn't say
that's
if
come
the
out.
other three women,
One-
if any one is the mother. Did
One
it?
is, yes,
One is,
and then there's siblings and like that are involved. It gets more convoluted after that.
Well, I saw the 4 pictures on TV
Of the baby?
of.
Oh, the people, the 4
4.
mugshots, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't
That's
seen
all
the
I'm gonna
mugshots.
say.
I don't know anything about the case.
All right. And there's a story in today's Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times, Chris, not like this, but it makes you wonder, because there was, when Saco police were arresting a woman for whatever reason, and now obviously she doesn't want to be arrested. Now she's spitting at the cops, and which is odd because that's another
That's
charge.
another offense.
Yes.
It's
Right,
it's
assault.
assault, isn't it?
Yes.
So it just makes you wonder what's going through their minds, saying, "Hey, this will be a good idea."
Yeah, I don't know what's going through their mind. And, it's funny you mentioned the police department. I had, we're in negotiations with Local 808 for their new contract, which ends June 30th. But, when you hear stories like that about how important our public safety people are, especially our police department, and what they got to go through on a daily basis that people don't know until you sit down, talk to them, and hear the stories. I mean, it's a difficult, dangerous job, obviously, and I give them all the credit in the world for getting out there every day.
If that happens to a police officer, I know none of us are police officers here. Do they immediately go get checked out at the hospital for anything?
I would assume they do eventually. I don't know if they do it that minute, but I would assume that you're going to take all precautions in this day and age, right?
Yeah, well, you should.
With COVID and everything else going on. So
Or
yeah,
rabies.
rabies, yeah.
From a person?
I'm joking.
All right. Well, it just reminds me of the guy that down in Johnston that killed the coyote
With his,
Yeah.
with his bare hands.
with his bare hands. Like, wow.
Impressive.
Yep. I was asking Dave about that. How you think he did it. You think he wrapped like a jacket or something around because he suffocated it. Is what,
Yeah.
what he actually did
The way I understood
wow.
it, he had done this
with his arm.
with his arm. But I
into-
could be
into the-
wrong.
Into the coyote's mouth.
While the
throat.
the coyote on the ground, and
yeah?
he just held him down.
Oh,
That way.
all across his neck.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was the way I understood
Yeah.
it, but I could be wrong.
But that's taking a chance because the coyote
not
turned out to
kidding.
be rabid, and he's lucky he didn't get bit or
Wow.
or anything like that.
What good things are going on in the top floor of City Hall?
I'm not dealing with any coyotes, so that's good.
Hooray for
Whoa.
that.
Yeah, no. It's the day-to-day operations. I've been there for a little over 3 months now, and there's been some challenges, but I got to say the people at City Hall have been great. The employees, the directors, public safety, everybody. I mean, I have a different style of doing things, and I don't know if it's good, bad, or indifferent. It's just different, right? And it's been going good. A lot of work. I'm still going to my part-time job as an asphalt estimator in the mornings, and then I go to City Hall around 11 o'clock or so and stay there till whatever time need be. So it's been challenging time-wise, but I am retiring June 1st from my paving business. So
No, okay.
24/7 for the mayor. I mean, people say that, and sometimes people think it's, they just say it, but it really is a 24/7 job. Now that I've been sitting there for 3 months, and you see all of the interest that people want to talk to you, want to meet you, want to figure out what's going on in certain situations. So I'm thankful for all the help I get at City Hall with the people that work there.
All right, more with the mayor coming up. We want to take our first break, but hold on to that thought there, Bob. And more coming up, and you can call in your comments and questions as well, 766-1240.
Hi, I'm Kathleen LaValle at The Honey Shop. Check out our Facebook page at The Honey Shop RI, and there you'll see a whole list of our new classes and lots of fun things to do. You could join us for making limoncello, pizzas, pasta making, cheese making, so many fun things to do and learn.
Thanks, Kathy. Folks, if you love food, you'll love the Honey Shop, right behind the Dunkin' Donuts at Park Square in Woonsocket.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with RE/MAX Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial, and he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first. And he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
And it's Coffee and on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Callahan here with Bob Lauder and Sue Tesser McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times. Woonsocket Mayor Chris Beauchamp is here as well. And Sue, it is a time for a first message from the Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times. Everything going well in the new digs?
Well,
Right across from his digs as well.
yes, right across from the City Hall digs. It's going very well, actually. Being in a new space, clean space, plus space is a lot less than we used to have. That part is challenging, but we've been working on it and getting everything out of our storage and, placing everything neatly, nicely, etc. It is different being on the opposite side of the road, but there's parking. So our offices are open. So if you need anything at the office, missing a back edition of the newspaper or anything at all, can give me a call on my cell phone, 487-4136. Again, it's 487-4136. Somebody did call me over the weekend that didn't get their newspaper. I made a call, but unfortunately, it was too late to help. But if you did miss your delivery, it's 767-8522, and they will be able to help you as long as it's earlier in the day.
Very good. Now, there's a character that's outside your building. You want to ask? You wanted to ask the mayor about him?
Oh, okay. So we see a lot being on Main Street, and we have these big windows, which we just covered yesterday with some nice sheer charcoal gray drapes. And just before we did that, so there was a man jogging, and I kept looking. I'm like, what is this man doing? He is running past City Hall, flipping off every door and window, just walking, holding his arm up, flipping everything off it from one end to the other of City Hall. And then he ran across the street, and I lost him. That was it. So, yeah, we see a lot of things over there.
Have you seen this character, Chris?
I think I have. I can tell you he's not an employee of City Hall, so
Well, that's good.
there's challenges out there, obviously, with the homeless issue in the city, and there are people with, mental instability, if you will, and we see it, and we're addressing some of those issues the best we can, but it is a problem, and hopefully it doesn't cause anybody physical harm.
All right. How'd the city do coming through Tuesday's storm?
Great. We didn't get what was initially predicted, obviously, and I'm grateful for that. But, kudos to our Department of Public Works and the jobs they do, cleaning our roads. I left my house at 6 o'clock to go to Warwick. I got to Lincoln. Lincoln was awful, snowing very hard. 146 was a mess. Turned around, came back to Woonsocket. down to pavement, you know, but it was still snowing, obviously. But they do a great job, and it's a tough job when you have to get out there and sometimes 24, 36 hours, depending on the snowstorm, that they stay out there continuously. So I give them a lot of credit. They do a great job.
Did the Department of Public Works get that brine stuff down ahead of time?
Yes.
That works well.
The brine is a great asset to have because it just helps the buildup of ice and snow later. We have like speed bumps on the road from snowpack, right?
Yeah.
And we used to have that all the time. More cities and towns are using it based on the effectiveness of that. And again, credit to Director D'Agostino for implementing that.
You know, I saw some of the lines that the brine leaves in the city, so I recognized them on a highway, but only in the high-speed lane, and I was wondering if it might be something that they're testing out.
Yeah, I saw it too on 146, and it was only in the high-speed lane.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what they're doing, not knowing exactly, but that's what it looked like, exactly like we do.
Right. That's what
on
okay.
city
It
roads,
wasn't
so
just me then.
I assume that's what it is.
Maybe because in snowstorms, people will drive in the middle lane and the right lane, and they leave the left speed lane alone.
Yeah.
Because usually that's got the most snow on it.
Yeah.
So if they put the brine down there, okay, now we got 3 lanes open.
Right.
And maybe it'll work better.
I tend to stay in the middle lane with whether it's heavy rain
Yeah.
or snow or whatever. A, it's mostly the main traveled lane, and B, when you're having rain, I don't care how straight the road looks.
It's curved.
There is always a curve in that road. So stay in the middle. The water is off to each side, and I did that
Well,
when I
that's
was in the
called
limo.
the crown of the road.
The crown of the road. That's what I drive
the
on.
asphalt guy
The
over here.
crown of the road. I like that.
Now that you're in the big office and you see the city council from a different point of view, how do you consider your reactions to the city council and getting along that way?
Good question, Bob. A different perspective, obviously. I was on the council last year as the council president. Now being the mayor, you see both sides of the story, right? They're putting legislation out. You're thinking that it's good for the city, you'll go with it. If you think it might be somewhat costly to the city in a detrimental way, you got to think otherwise. My main objective is to get a budget that we can live with, hopefully. But there are difficult decisions coming forward. So, and the other part of it is I have very much an open door policy. And I know people say that, but I'm telling you, school committee people, chairman of the school committee, Patrick McGee, the superintendent, council president John Ward, any council member can either call me, come see me at any time, as long as I'm there, obviously, and available and not in a meeting. And, you know, that may be a change from past, but that's the way I operate, and it's been going well so far.
Good.
All right. Speaking of meetings, the city council got together with the state legislature on Monday. You attended that meeting. Did you find it a good meeting? A lot of good open communication?
It was, and I think, you know, being the mayor till November, I would like to have maybe several more of these because it's very critical to find out what they can do to help the city of Woonsocket, and not just in the paper, right? Getting firsthand knowledge, putting in our input from administration side, council side, resident side about what's important to Woonsocket, giving them that information before a bill is in, before it's discussed, so they have, you know, proper input from the community. I think in years past, bills were presented by our delegation, but with very little input or maybe last-minute input by administration, council people, whatever. So I think there's got to be a more timely communication, if you will, conversation, and that's what that was about on Monday night. It was very good. A lot of good questions. We saw a bunch of bills that some of the legislation had proposed.
Did you know about these bills ahead of time?
I did.
Or were they a
I
surprise?
saw some of them. And of course, we're part of the League of Cities and Towns, Woonsocket. I think there's only one city or town that's not in it out of the 39. And most of the bills that were being looked at and or passed were in favor by the League of Cities and Towns, which we are a member of. So I get that updates from them prior to the bills being discussed, passed, that type of thing. So that's very helpful. I never thought about that before, to be honest with you, when I was on the council, but I think it's very important that we look at that.
Okay.
What do you see as the biggest challenges you're facing this year?
The budget, tax increase possibly, taxes, you know, that type of thing, and keeping people comfortable where they are in Woonsocket, and also businesses. One of the positive things I can say is we've had a lot of activity and a lot of communication with businesses that are thinking about housing, for instance, here in the city of Woonsocket, in various mills, old mills, developing them. I have a meeting, I think, tomorrow with people that are interested in the Longley building, the old Domino's, and the old Hospital Trust building, which I see every day when I look out my window and I see the graffiti on that building, and I'm saying, we got to do something. So we have several businesses that are interested in that. And talking to the governor, you know, housing is a critical aspect here in Rhode Island and in Woonsocket. And if we can get people to come in, develop affordable housing, mid-range housing, some upper scale housing, not subsidized housing, I think we'll be in good shape to help with all the other problems we have. And one of the other point the governor made at his State of the State address, which I attended for the first time, was about bringing up the income of people. And that's a big push for us in Woonsocket too. If people's incomes are raised, then they stay here, they work here, they invest here. And I think that's a good way to look at things. It's not easy to do that, but I'm all on board on that.
Okay, I was
That,
wondering
that's huge.
how a municipality can actually influence employers so they'll raise incomes. How do you envision that?
Just on Main Street, as Sue was saying, she just moved in across the street, right? Say somebody eventually takes over the Longley building and that Hospital Trust building. Now you have people live, working, and hopefully in the city. You have maybe some commercial space down below, whether it be coffee shop, pastry shop, breakfast, whatever, right? So now you have foot traffic. You have a lot of people walking, working on Main Street, living on Main Street. We have the Call building and Cornsteins that are being developed also. You have, and as I said this before, you have the other end of Main Street where Christopher's Restaurant is, River Falls, all those restaurants. In the middle, we have kind of a barren piece, if you will. And it's always been a challenge to get, you know, people to stay there and open up businesses. We've seen short-term businesses come in, you know, maybe a convenience store, something like that. But if you don't have foot traffic, people aren't going to stop. And that's a critical aspect because, you know, I said this the other day. Somebody mentioned there was a new little convenience store that opened over near New York System, right? But the signage, a simple thing. We talk about signage. The signs are flat on the building, but you're driving down the road.
So you don't see it.
You don't see it.
Yeah.
So, we, you know, our outreach coordinator mentioned that in his presentation to us, that maybe have vertical signs or signs on the building that come out on a triangle so you see them both ways. And do that for multiple businesses so it looks uniform, it's not mismatched.
Right.
Stuff like that, I
Yeah,
think.
because if one person does it, you know, now
Yeah.
you're
And
you're
you
not
have conformity to everything looking neat as
Yeah.
opposed to, you know, I know we've all seen businesses with multiple signs in the windows everywhere, and it doesn't, different colors.
neon open
Yeah, it
signs.
just
and,
it doesn't look great, and I get it. They're trying to promote their business, and we're working on that to try to improve that. We have some grant money that we can offer businesses to do that. Lighting, facades, signage. I mean, those are all important things, and I know we've looked at it in the past, but you got to make it a priority. You can't just talk about it. So,
When you talk about the Hospital Trust building, I recall that at one time recently, the owners of the building had started doing some type of renovation
Yeah.
and tearing out part of the inside, and yet that stopped pretty abruptly.
I don't know all the ins and outs. I've been getting pieces of the information, but we are meeting. Evidently, that person that bought the building, I think, was maybe ambitious and had good thoughts about doing something, but I think they got in over what they thought was
Financially.
what it was going to take financially, work-wise, permitting, all that stuff. And they did do some initial cleanup, but that building is now for sale by that person. And we have people that are looking to buy both buildings, put up a parking garage possibly in the middle to keep the parking down below for the city hall employees and whatnot. And, you know, that's a creative idea, creative thinking.
All right, let's take a break here in the Coffee and program, and more coming up with the mayor. But right now, Sue, time for a second message from the Blackstone
Already?
Valley Call-In Times. Already. It goes by fast, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Anyway, so as the advertising rep at the Blackstone Valley Call-In Times, we are running some great specials coming up. We've got winter specials. We have our spring home coming up. It's time to start thinking about who you want for a landscaper and where you want to buy your products. So you can give me a call directly on my cell phone at 487-4136. Or you can call Christina if you need some more classified or legal advertising. And her number is 767-8522.
Very good, Sue. Thanks. And right now, time for a look at the forecast, which is being brought to you by Unbound.org.
Increasingly cloudy today with a high near 36 and a breeze from the northwest. Tonight, there's an 80% chance of snow, mainly after 3 a.m., overnight low of 28, winds from the south, new snow accumulation overnight of 1 to 2 inches possible. Friday's weather, mostly sunny with a high of 37. Saturday, little or no snow accumulation is expected, but there is a chance of seeing some snow on Saturday with mostly cloudy skies and a high of 35. Sunday, mostly sunny and 33. Washington's birthday, Monday, sunny and 40. Tuesday, mostly sunny and 40, and Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 46.
Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with sunny skies, we have 27 degrees. A girl in Kenya dreams of becoming a doctor. An elder in Guatemala dreams of being part of a community. Reach out and change the world, and it will change your own at unbound.org.
Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal real special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogi with onions and dirty sour cream, or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported goods. We're open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 9 to 6, Wednesdays 9 to 5, and Saturdays 8 to 5. Follow us on Facebook to learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street in Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love. You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger, something better. Like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, 2 locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate.
We've unlocked the vaults, and we're replaying Casey Kasem's American Top 40, the 70s. This week is from February 13th, 1971. That's when Bobby Goldsboro was watching Scotty grow. Dave Edmonds could hear you knocking. CCR asked, "Have you ever seen the rain?" And Dawn told us to knock 3 times. You'll hear those songs and all the top 40 hits from February 13th, 1971, right here on Casey Kasem's American Top 40, the 70s.
And it's Coffee and on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Woonsocket Mayor Chris Beauchamp, Sue Tester McKenzie, and Bob Lauder. And Bob, time for a first message from your law office, please.
Good morning. Thank you. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. I'd like to move away from the ancient cases I've been discussing for the last several weeks and return to 2 cases decided by the Rhode Island Supreme Court during the last few weeks. The first case I'd like to talk with you about involves the issue of whether or not a lender can foreclose on a mortgage deed when the landowner who pledged the real estate as security did not sign the original promissory note. The case is known as the Bank of New York versus Gossett, and it was decided 2 weeks ago. In the Bank of New York case, the father borrowed money from Bank of New York and as security signed a mortgage deed which encumbered the title to certain real estate. Two of his daughters, who owned the real estate along with him, also signed the mortgage deed. However, they did not sign the original promissory note, which included the terms of repayment to Bank of New York. The father died, and the agreed-upon sums were not repaid. The bank began foreclosure proceedings on the real estate. The daughters objected. They said they'd never received any funds from the bank, they'd never agreed to repay the sums to the bank, and the bank should not be able to foreclose on their real estate to enforce repayments to which they had never agreed. The Rhode Island Supreme Court ruled against the daughters. The court reasoned that the mortgage deed made specific reference to the promissory note, and also referred to the daughters as borrowers throughout the mortgage deed. There was no genuine material issue of fact in the case, and the bank was entitled to foreclose on the real estate. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please call my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer. The Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
Oh, I disagree with that one, Bob.
I don't.
agree with that. I agree with
I'm
the
on the
daughters.
fence with that. I got questions. I want you first,
Well,
though.
I'm just saying they didn't sign the promissory note, so I didn't sign anything.
Right,
They're
so
gonna
now-
pay you back. So I don't owe you nothing.
To some degree, yes.
Yeah.
But they're still benefiting from said property. So
Yeah.
now I'll bring up a case with my husband that has his brain injury.
Mm-hmm.
So while he was still in a coma, I had received a bill. And I'm like, what is this for? I have no idea what this is, okay? And I kept calling. Oh, nope, we can't give you any information. We can't tell you anything. We can't do this. We can't do that. Which should have been the case with those daughters because they were not on the original deed, okay? So they wouldn't tell me anything. So apparently, I still don't know what this bill is for. So then all of a sudden they decide, and I did call a lawyer, and I spoke to the lawyer. I sent a letter. I said I'd be more than happy to take my husband into court and see if he knows what this bill is. And so I'm not paying it. I don't know what it is. I didn't benefit from that
Right.
bill. However, even trying to pay, which I've paid all of his other bills, just that because I don't know what it is. They can't tell me. They won't tell me. Well, you're not getting anything from me.
Yeah.
But I take care of his Capital One, paid off like he had JCPenney, minimal amount. Took care of all of his finances
Okay.
except that one bill.
But in this particular case that the Supreme Court had, the daughters said, okay, we have real estate along with Dad. We know that Dad has borrowed money from Bank of New York. We know that he has to pledge property in order to get the money as a security. We're going along with that. We're pledging the same property over to Bank of New York. And now that Dad has died and Bank of New York's not getting paid and Bank wants to foreclose, the court is saying, hey, you agreed at the very
Yep.
start of this that the assets that you had could be used as security for your dad's loan, and therefore Bank of New York has the right to foreclose on it because you signed the agreement that said they could, even though you didn't sign the original
The
promissory
original.
note.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
See, I agree with it. I
Yeah.
agree with the
Okay.
case.
All right, Mayor Chris Beauchamp, do you agree with this? We have a story today down at the State House. House lawmakers passed legislation on Wednesday that would legalize the construction of accessory apartments in residential neighborhoods. All right, the measure was approved by a vote of 55-9. If approved, the bill would eliminate the requirement that so-called granny flats may only be used by relatives of the property owner. The measure also covers new units within an existing building and detached units. This bill died in the Senate last year. When you talk about new housing in the city, will this help?
Well, we discussed that Monday night, or that was one of the bills that was on topic, and I have questions about it. The League of Cities and Towns has offered a favorable opinion of that, but I believe it's for anybody. It's not just family members. Anybody can move into that. My questions would be, as the CEO of the city, if you will, you got two dwellings now, basically. Say your in-laws or your parents were in another town, and all of a sudden they can't stay in their own home. You build a little place on your property. They live there. Is it two addresses? Is it the same address because of mail and whatever? Is it classified as a single-family home or two-family now? what's the taxes, if it's a single family or two family, there's a homestead problem. Water and sewer, I think, is addressed in the bill. You know, separate water and sewer bills, probably not. You could probably tie in off the single-family home, which would be a good thing. But those are the questions that I have. We're supposed to have a meeting actually Tuesday when we got the storm at the Woonsocket Education Center with the League of Cities and Towns. Woonsocket was sponsoring it that day. We were supposed to do it virtual. We didn't do it, so we're doing it next week. I know the bill I think it's up for today at the State House. Or was it yesterday?
Let's see. They voted yesterday.
Yesterday.
They passed it. They passed
They
it
passed
yesterday.
it in the
House
Senate,
did.
and the Senate's going to look at it.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
saying building an additional unit or just reconstructing a bit of what you
If you
have?
if you had a garage, if you had
Okay,
a
okay.
shed, an accessory dwelling
Okay,
off your house,
okay, but not building a new,
yes, you could build.
oh,
a
see
new,
that, yeah.
a new
I can
unit.
see because I know people that have done that
One-
with
one-
the garage, et
Yeah,
cetera.
one of the issues is the setbacks and how close you are to your neighbor's property.
Yeah.
You know, normally a shed in the garage is close to your neighbor, right? Now you're going to have people living there as opposed to just a dwelling that, you know, has your car or whatever.
Right,
So
right.
there are some issues like that, but I think the intent of the bill, and according to the Speaker of the House, was to access more affordability for people that can't afford staying where they are. So there's pros and cons to it. Initially, I'm in favor of it, but I have questions.
Okay.
What about the people who would say, okay, I deliberately moved into a neighborhood where the zoning issued by the city said this had to be single-family homes. Suddenly, my next-door neighbor has decided to convert his two-car garage into two small apartments. I'm living in a apartment zoned area now instead of what I'd expected. My property values are going to go down because of the construction or the conversion next door. I think you're going to have an issue that
there
people
is
are
that
going to raise
argument,
that
Bob,
way.
and
Yeah.
but there is language in the bill that I read that prohibits a town from restricting this if it passes. The zoning bill,
Mm-hmm.
it will be, you will not be able to do anything with that. And that's one of the issues that I think some people have brought up. So I get the intent of the bill. I think it's laudable on its face, but there's still questions. And I think that's where the Senate is going to hold some of that up.
Okay. Last night, the Woonsocket School Committee met, and they had a lot of impassioned people talking. They're very concerned about the education system here in Rhode Island, running a deficit of $15 million a year. The problem with the charter schools are taking a lot of the kids out of the Woonsocket school system, and then but when those students need special needs like IEP, they get sent back to the Woonsocket school system, and there's real issues.
There are, but I'm going to tell you, Joe, I sit on the RISE Prep Board, as you know. I've been advised by the city solicitor that, you know, you got to be careful what I say at council meetings because I'm the mayor also.
Right.
But I've had discussions, open discussions with the school department. You know, some of that information is accurate, some of it is not accurate. And I can tell you that we all agree the money should follow the student. The Woonsocket Education believes that they still have the building, they still have the maintenance, they still have infrastructure. If 30 students go to Rise Prep or Beacon Charter, those students go there, the money follows those students, but they still have all those costs associated with the high school. And I agree with that, there is. But to say that education, as we all say, is the most important thing for our future, for our kids, and I believe that is true. I believe in education for everybody. Wherever you want to go, let's help them achieve that, right? This notion of that because Rise Prep and Beacon Charter are here, that they're taking all this money away from the education department is not 100% factual. There is some costs, right? But again, I look at the test scores, I look at everything, right? And there's got to be some shared communication. This is what I said with the school department, and they agreed. We've sat down and we will continue to sit down to share best practices, to share where we can do things together as opposed to Rise Prep and Beacon are spending money doing this, but so is the high school. Why can't we sit down and figure out how we can share things that benefit everybody. And I think that conversation and that exercise, if you will, has been lacking in the past. I want to bring it forward. And we do have that communication now, and I'm grateful to them, and we'll continue to do it. I mean, I just know that, Rise Prep is looking to buy land for a high school in the city, right? Because they're having to rent swing space, if you will, because they don't have anywhere.
Yeah.
They're looking at possibly buying All Saints property now, which was a school before. Probably a good opportunity to get there. The city owns the property. Former council bought that property. It's been sitting vacant for almost a year, 2 years now, year and a half. So there's opportunities to do that. But we have to have the conversation and get out all the facts and the right information, because people run with stuff that is not 100% accurate.
Okay.
And I believe that we can have common ground on a lot of things.
All right.
Well,
We're taking
thinking,
Go ahead,
excuse me,
Bob.
thinking back to my youth when the Catholic regional school system operated a whole lot of schools in the city. They had the Holy Family School. They had the school over on in the Fairmount area. They had Social Street area. They had St. Anne's School. Lots and lots of school systems. If the Catholic school system hadn't existed back in the 50s and all those kids had been dumped into the regular educational system, we would have had to hire more teachers. We would have had to have more buildings. I would imagine, although the Rise Academies may not be as large in overall scope as the Catholic regional schools were back in the 50s, if they didn't have the schools they're going to now and they came back into the regular school system, we'd have to have more teachers to cover this issue. So I agree with the mayor. I don't see this as a entirely disastrous thing for the city finances to have the Rise Academies taking kids and educating them. No.
Okay. We do need to take another break here on the Coffee and program. More coming up, but Bob, time for a second message from your law office, please.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. The second recent case I'd like to discuss with you this morning involves the issue of alimony. Excuse me. The case is known as Cronin versus Cronin. This was a divorce case. The marital assets available for equitable distribution were significant, more than $9 million. And the trial justice, after hearing the evidence, made a 60-40 split of the assets. However, the judge denied the request of one of the parties for entitlement to the receipt of alimony from the other party. In Rhode Island, the grant of alimony is authorized by statute, and alimony is designed to provide support for a spouse for a reasonable length of time to enable the recipient to become financially independent and self-sufficient. In the Cronin case, the judge noted that although the applicant had not worked in private industry since just after the marriage in 2006, she did acknowledge working at developing her own business, and even if she does not seek employment, she'll have sufficient assets to support herself at the same standard of living as she enjoyed during the marriage. The judge ruled that the decision to deny alimony was not based upon the plaintiff's intention to retire soon, but rather on the defendant's independence and ability to support herself. The defendant appealed. She noted that although her share of the marital assets were more than $3 million, the acquisition of assets did not automatically mean that she had demonstrated an ability to become financially independent and self-sufficient, and that she was entitled to alimony until such time as she had acquired those skills. On appeal to the Supreme Court, the court ruled that the trial justice had considered each of the factors set forth in the statute, and the findings of the judge that the defendant will be financially independent and self-sufficient were sufficient to affirm the denial of alimony. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please contact my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer, the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
I agree with this one, Sue.
Good.
I do too. I do
If
too.
you get $3 million, you got plenty of time to go out and find a job.
My brain was stuck on 3 million. Why are we complaining? you know.
Well, the petitioner was saying, I should be entitled to money so that I can get an ability to support myself. The fact that I have this much money in the bank doesn't mean I'm going to be able to support myself. I may not know how to handle this money. It's just not fair that I don't get an opportunity to.
All right, so Bob, I'm sorry. The way you just said this, so what side are you on?
I'm not on anybody's
Like,
side. I'm just
You
explaining
ju-
it.
well, no, I get the explanation.
Okay.
I get that.
It would depend on whose side am I on?
Parts of
Who's
that
my
sound
client?
like parts of that sound like an individual I know. But yeah,
Well, I don't have $3 million, and fortunately, my wife hasn't decided to divorce me yet. So
All right, we're going to take a
she
quick break.
plans more on the bury me behind the garage and don't tell anybody.
Oh, smart
Gotcha.
move. All right. More coming up. Comments and questions can still be called in for the mayor. 766-1240.
Kung Hei Fat Choi. John Chan taught me how to say that, and he says it too. It's Happy Chinese New Year. The Year of the Dragon has begun. It's a 15-day celebration. Gee whiz, we only have like 1 day for Happy New Year. They got 15 in their culture. But it's our benefit as well because the wonton soup, the egg rolls, the teriyaki, wings, boneless ribs, crab rangoon, and more. 32 special combination dinners, all your yummy favorites that you've been enjoying since you were a kid at Chan's, 267 Main Street in Woonsocket. Takeout, drive-through, and delivery, 765-1900. Kung Hei Fat Choi. Happy Chinese New Year from Chan's.
Hi, everyone. This is Bill Schneck with the Autumn Fest Steering Committee. I am very happy to announce that on Thursday, February 22nd, there will be a benefit dinner at Cello's Restaurant, 490 Clinton Street, here in Woonsocket. Take your family out to dinner at Cello's or order takeout to enjoy at home from Cello's, and up to 20% of your dinner order value, excluding tax and tip, will be donated to Autumn Fest, Inc. Please pick up your free Autumn Fest dinner certificates for Cellos at this radio station, WOON Radio, 985 Park Avenue here in the city, or any member of the Autumn Fest Steering Committee. One certificate will cover your entire group. Certificates will not be available at Cellos that night. I look forward to seeing you and your family down at Cellos Restaurant for dinner on Thursday night, February 22nd. And as always, I greatly appreciate your ongoing support of Autumn Fest. Thank you very much.
It is Coffee In here on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callan here with Bob Lauder, Sue Tessier-McKenzie, and Mayor Chris Beauchamp. Our state senators are Roger Pickard and Melissa Murray.
well, I say that
Following
because
up a
I
conversation
saw
off the air.
Melissa the day that we last week, and then I saw her on TV. So my husband thought that was like, hey, she was at the radio station this morning. He said, well, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
All right, Chris. I don't know if you've heard what they're trying to do in Boston, and maybe you can bring it down here into Woonsocket. The Boston City Council has begun considering whether to bring congestion zone pricing to the city. Have you heard this?
I have.
Okay. Have you heard this, Bob?
No, what's congestion zone pricing?
The measure was introduced yesterday and assigned to committee for further consideration and study. Okay, congestion zone pricing is the concept where vehicles are charged for entering busy areas of the city with a goal of reducing traffic and raising money for transportation. Opponents say such a measure would punish people who travel to Boston for work by car. Can't you just see the toll plazas on Social Street and Clinton Street?
Wow.
How great would that be?
I want people to come here. I don't want to charge them if they come.
Right? Wow.
No, I'm not in favor of. They do it in New York City. I think
Do
they're
they charge
proposing
the
it in New York too.
Oh, too as well.
Because think of their congestion
Well,
compared
right.
to obviously Woonsocket's not.
Yeah,
the
but won't
same.
that stop visitors from, like if I want to go, well, then again, though, if you want to go to Newport, you're spending how much for that toll?
Last I knew it was $4.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you ain't been there in a
That's been-
while.
It has been a while.
I
$10 to go over the
think
bridge?
it's up to 8
All right.
each way.
Wow.
I know it was at 6, but I think
It's
somebody,
It's $4 per axle.
yeah, so
Oh,
there's,
okay.
there's 8.
So
there
there's
you
8.
go.
Okay.
I was right.
So
But if the proposal is we're going to charge people to drive through the city. Now, most of the
Yes.
people who go to the Boston, I imagine, park there to do something, either shop or work or something like that. So I think it just sounds like an extra toll because you're in the area.
well, sure.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
I
not going
think
to-
the gist behind it is because take New York City for example. How many millions of people visit there, and the people that live and work there feel once that influx of people come in, they can't do what they normally do on a day-to-day basis. So they're trying to, out-of-state people that come in and shop, park, whatever, they want to charge them for being there. Is what they're trying to do. I don't think it makes a lot of sense, but we don't have those
Yeah.
traffic problems, thank
Well,
God.
right.
Right? Unless there's a detour and you can't go down one street, and next thing you know, Main Street is full of people, full of cars.
Well, it is going on. Hamlet Avenue was all
Yeah.
kind of torn up there for a while.
Gas
Yeah.
company.
It's like, again, I got to go around.
Yeah.
if that's my biggest problem of the day, I'm
Right,
gonna
it
throw
is what it is.
Drive a
All right.
couple blocks.
Of course, the big question, we went towards the end of the program. State Rep Bob Phillips is running for mayor. We know John Ward is running for mayor. So the question goes to you, Chris. Are you considering? Are you running for mayor to be reelected in November?
I won't say never. You never say never. Right now, it's day to day. I'm going to talk with my family. I have a very large family. I'm one of 8. So, the more I sit here and get comfortable or learn about what the job entails, there's a possibility. I'm not saying I am or I'm not, but I'm considering it. But again, I need my wife, number one, and my family's support.
Yep.
And if I get that, and then we'll make a decision in the very near future whether I'm going to do it or not.
Yeah, that was the next question. Do you have a timetable?
I would say that, I think declaration period's in June, so I still got a little
By
bit
June.
of time.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
you're lucky that your wife is able to get the experience to have a real conversation
Yeah.
instead of, hey, yeah, run for mayor, and then you
Yeah.
get
Well-
hit with the demands of it.
What,
So,
what Bob brought up earlier, having both sides of the perspective, if you will, right? Council
Yeah.
person, 11, 12 years, and then the mayor for 3 months. It's a job that is very, very intensive. Don't have a chief of staff. Don't have economic development director. We don't have a lot of things that would help a mayor, whether it was me or somebody else, because we just can't afford it. You heard about the school committee and, their woes financially. I don't want to, I was here on the council when we had a budget commission. I do not want to go back to that scenario. And hopefully we don't. I don't think we will. So we just we got to look at things. We got to tighten our budget in places. We got to spend less if we got to look at everything. So I'm considering it. When I do announce, if I do, you guys will
Yeah, let us know.
be on the list.
All right, so we're still considering it at this point. All right. Where do things stand as of today with a new elementary school over at Barry Field? Is that project still moving
Yeah,
forward?
it's out to RFP right now, so they're soliciting bids. So it's moving forward.
Are you still hearing from parents that are against this?
I don't know about the school committee side of it. They
Okay.
probably hear more of it. But you know what? I was always in favor of a neighborhood school. I thought Dunn Park was a good place to put that, but that is not happening. But Coleman School is a very old school. It needs to be replaced. Unfortunately, in Rhode Island, being the smallest state, you think we would have things in a little bit better handle on how to repair and maintain things, right? Look at the bridge, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the problem in our state. We just think things are going to last forever. They don't.
Yeah.
I'm a person that's proactive as instead of reactive, and that's just the way I've been, brought up in the business that I am. You don't wait for problems to come. You kind of beat them before they get there, if you will. And it doesn't always work, but that's the philosophy I take, and that's the way I sit at in the mayor's seat. I'm trying to be proactive and looking at things, as opposed to waiting till the 11th hour and say, oh, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. And I got a lot of people that are helping me, and we'll continue to do what we can day by day.
Have you seen any plans for how the school will sit on the land over there? Do we keep that football field and put it to the left of it as you look at it, or does everything change?
I think everything's moving out of there, obviously, because it's going to the
Cass.
athletic complex at Cass Park. So, I mean, I saw some preliminary plans, but I haven't seen anything in recent. It's going to be very nice, obviously, and it's going to be well wanted. The biggest, I think, challenge for some people is the transportation. Those 3 schools that are being closed are now on the North Smithfield Woonsocket border. It's a little bit challenging with transportation, busing, and so forth. That was one of the big concerns I heard, but that's up to the school committee and them, and if they need my input or help, I'll be glad to do it.
Okay. Bob, did I see your hand up?
Nope.
No. Okay. Well, we just got a few more seconds to go here in the program. Are there any more plans? This just came to mind, Chris. That roundabout, that rotary that we have at Vernon and down there near South Main, is working out very well. By the way, I think. Are there any plans to put any others in the city?
Not that particular roundabout, but we do have plans to put the Greenway project, which will take half of the half of the bypass, and make it a greenway, which is basically kind of extending the bike lane, not really the bike lane itself, but taking I think it would be the east to west if you're going from Coffee Connection towards KFC. That side would be taken out. Coming back from KFC would be 2 lanes of traffic.
I see. Okay.
We have a grant, I believe it was $2 million, just over $2 million. I'm looking forward to that. I think more green space is good. The bypass, I don't think you get the traffic that you think you do now, the way it's set up. So I think it's a worthwhile project.
All right, we've come to the end of the program. We thank you very much for listening as always. And so, Bob Lauder, thanks for coming in this week.
Thank you for inviting me. Hope to be with you next week.
All right, very good. Sue Tesher-McKenzie, thanks for coming in.
No
giving
problem.
us your input.
Have a great day and enjoy the rest of the week.
And Woonsocket Mayor Chris Beauchamp, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
All right, very good. I'm Joe Callahan. Have yourself a great day, everyone. Stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do your members at 9:30 this morning on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news.
A Rhode Island state trooper was injured in an accident late Tuesday afternoon on Route 6 East in Johnston. The trooper was at the scene of another accident when his cruiser's emergency lights, while they were flashing, was hit by a passing car. The trooper was treated for minor injuries at Rhode Island Hospital. The driver of the car was issued several moving violations.